So it's 1:15, so we're going to get started on agenda item 27B1. It's for Angeles College Vocational Nursing Program. And Ms. Silverman, thank you for your report. We have received and reviewed the copy of the report. Do any of the board members have any questions for Ms. Silverman? Nope. Seeing none, is there a representative from Angeles College Vocational Nursing Program?
Yes, good afternoon. I'm Mary McHugh, the director of the VN program at Angeles College.
Do you have any updated information for us today?
The report is very thorough and it's up to date. So, yes, no, nothing additional.
And are you in agreement with the recommendations from the NEC?
We are, yes.
Thank you. Is there a motion? John?
Motion to accept the NEC report and the NEC recommendation.
I second.
Any public comment? Seeing none, any discussions by the board?
I just have one comment. I continue to be concerned about the pass rate on the Nclex exam historically for not only this institution, but quite a few.
It's getting better.
It's improved from, it's improving.
Would you like me to speak to that, sir?
I would defer to comments through the chair.
What I see, it looks like it's improving slightly. Does the NEC have any comments on that?
Yeah, they've actually, they're within 10%, which is the guidelines for sections 2530I for the fourth quarter. They did have only one tester. The one tester did pass at 100%, which gave them 100% for fourth quarter, which brought them up to 67% for four-quarter average, which made them, since the state average was 74%, they were 7% points below the average, which is within the 10%.
Any other comments?
Thank you, Madam President. Ms. McHugh, it is a step in the right direction, no matter how small. It's still a step in the right direction. All I ask is that your steps get a little bit wider.
And it will. We are finally reaching a point where the 2 years is almost up for a whole bunch of people who graduated before we began the remediation actions. And they've been testing in dribbles and drabbles. And for our last two cohorts, we had 80% for one, 80% for the most recent graduates, and the one who failed has retaken the test and passed. She went and took the test with GI problems from both the G and the I.
As I said, Mike, we're taking small steps. I'm hoping they get bigger and bigger and you keep moving in the correct direction.
Yes, sir, that is certainly our intention.
Any other discussions from the board? Seeing none, so we have a motion on the floor to accept the NEC's recommendations and a second. We're going to do a roll call vote, starting on my right with Eric.
Yes.
John, or Todd.
Yes.
Andrew,
Yes.
Samantha,
Yes.
myself is a yes. Bernice,
Yes.
John,
Yes?
Donna,
Yes.
John.
Yes.
That was unanimous. The motion carries.
Thank you.
So now that moves us to agenda item 27B2, CNI College Vocational Nursing Program. And the report is from Beth DeYoung. Ms. DeYoung, thank you for your report. We've received it and reviewed it. Do any of the board members have any questions for Ms. DeYoung?
I do. I see the recommendation is to extend provisional for another year. I see that the pass rates seem to be steadily improving or maybe plateauing. I was just wondering if you could give me a little more insight into your recommendation to extend the provisional?
Sure, okay, so, one of the reasons why the CNI college was placed on provisional approval was due to, not providing clinical experience in the care of sick children. So, as you can tell from the report, over the year of 2016, the students that were, had to come back to school to actually complete their hours. So at this time, I have not confirmed the class that had graduated January 30th of 2017 to make sure that they had completed their care of sick children.
Yeah, that's a huge problem for the school. Do we know currently if they have adequate pediatric placements for their
I
students?
have been able to verify that they have adequate pediatric placements for the cohort that did graduate more than 30. However, the paperwork that was submitted incorrectly.
Okay.
So the one piece of information I have was the coding site they used for pediatrics was board approved, just incorrect paperwork submitted. So
Great, thank you.
I know that they have submitted paperwork within this last few days that will be reviewed. So I wanted to continue to monitor just to make sure that we receive it back.
Thank you.
Is there a representative from CNI College Vocational Nursing Program? If you could state your name and your professional title, please.
Good afternoon, members of the board. My name is Dr. Sasha Lorang, and I'm the CNI Director of Nursing Program for the
And
PN
do you-
program.
Do you have any updated information?
Actually, the latest updated information I have is submitted through email to Ms. DeYoung. That was about Wednesday afternoon. It was the corrected information regarding the pediatric affiliation. And we are affiliated with All Saints, which is a approved facility for pediatric.
And do you agree with the recommendations from the NEC?
We do.
Thank you. Is there a motion?
The students that Ms. DeYoung was speaking about that should have graduated but then had to return to do their pediatric hours, have they now completed their hours?
I think the one that Ms. DeYoung was referring to was the graduates of 2015, November 2015, and January 2016. Those were, we have at least 12 that we returned them when I wasn't the director yet, but we did actually have them come back, and that was actually corrected.
Okay, so they all have graduated and sat
Yes.
for their boards?
Yes.
Eligible to sit?
Eligible to take the VN program,
Thank you.
VN Nclex.
Great.
Yes.
John?
Motion to accept the NEC recommendation and approve.
Any public comment? Seeing none. Any further discussion by the board? John?
Thank you. Ms. Rarang?
Yes.
Thank you. My concern is on violation 14. You have failure to report and follow your own policy repeated numerous times. I'm assuming this was before your arrival on campus?
Pretty much, yes.
Okay. So that's why I'm kind of heartened that you're not disagreeing with it, because you have a lot of failure to follow your own policies. And PEDS and OB is only a small part. That's a problem statewide for just about every VN school, and we've talked about it with different organizations, with schools. So that's something we're trying to address, but failure to follow your own policies is almost inexcusable. And I'm hoping that you've cleaned it up, as it said in the report, but the more important thing is once you've cleaned it up, keep it up.
That's the objective, thank you.
And that's what I'm glad to hear. But hopefully, you will not slide back into these under your leadership. And I do wish you well in turning it around.
Thank you so much.
Any other discussion by the board? Seeing none, we'll do,
I do have a question. I understand that you are revising your curriculum. Do you have any idea when you will finish that? And I do understand that you did not request a class.
Yes.
But do you project completion of your
We are
curriculum
projecting
revision?
that it's going to be finished by May of this year, 2017. And if ever we are going to be finishing that, of course, we have to submit it to our NAC.
Correct.
And then after that, the plan is it's going to be approved, then we're going to be asking for our class to begin.
So you're anticipating being back at the May board meeting?
Yes, January 2018.
so any other discussion by the board? Seeing none, it's been moved and seconded to accept the NEC report. And we're going to do a roll call vote, starting on my right with Eric,
Yes.
Todd,
Yes.
Andrew,
Yes.
Samantha,
Yes?
I'm a yes, Bernice,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Donna,
Yes.
and John.
Yes.
Okay, it's, motion carried, it's unanimous. So moving on to agenda item
Thank you.
number 27B. Actually, it's 27B3, for High Desert Medical College Vocational Nursing Program. And Jessica Gomez was the NEC. Ms. Gomez, thank you for your report. We've received it and reviewed it. Do board members have questions for Jessica at this time? Seeing none. Is there a representative from High Desert Medical College? And if you could state your name and professional title?
Good afternoon, Dr. Michelle Welch, Director of Nursing, High Desert Medical College.
Thank you. And do you have any updated information, and do you agree with the NEC's recommendations?
I do not have any updated information. The report was complete, and I do agree.
Okay. Thank you. Jessica, do you have any updated information that you'd like to give? No? Okay.
I move to accept the NEC's report and recommendations as stated.
Second?
Any public comment? Seeing none, any discussion by the board? John?
Ms. Welch, you've been at the helm for a while, fighting an uphill battle, and I see the light at the end of the tunnel for you if you keep going in the correct direction. Keep going. I know you've been working hard to turn the program around. You've been at this program for a number of years now, and I hope that is the light at the end of the tunnel for you, that you keep moving in the right direction.
We hope that that's the case, that's the goal.
I know it is. But I know you've been working very hard with that goal in mind. So I wanted to let you know that, keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Any other comments from board members? Seeing none, it's been moved and seconded to accept the NEC's report. And we're going to go to a roll call vote. And we'll start off with the right with Eric,
Yes.
Todd,
Yes.
Andrew,
Yes.
Samantha,
Yes?
myself is a yes, Bernice,
Yes.
John,
Yes?
Donna,
Yes.
and John.
Yes.
So motion carried, it was unanimous. Thank you. We're going to move on to agenda item 27B4, Infotech Career College Vocational Nursing Program. And Jessica Gomez, NEC, did the report. Ms. Gomez, thank you for your report. We've received it and reviewed it. Do any board members have any questions for Ms. Gomez at this time?
I do.
Donna?
So it seems that this school has greatly increased their number of clinical hours. So what is the required number of clinical hours? Okay, so is there a minimum for theory and clinical, or is there just I could have looked it up myself, but it's just easier to ask you.
556 and 954.
I'm sorry, 954 for clinical?
Yeah. 576 theory is the minimum required, spelled out in red, and 954 clinical.
Okay, so this school is increasing to 1,144 clinical hours. Did they give you a reasoning why?
I believe from what I have heard from the schools is the reason that they increased the clinical hours requirement so that they can make sure that they have a 3-to-1 theory to clinical for most students, that most all of the courses. This is actually recommended and I think highly respected for this program, if they want to make sure that their students really get the opportunity to practice.
I totally understand that. I've been hearing some chatter on the other side about the number of clinical hours that the students have to do because they're in school and they're trying to live a life and do all these other things, and this just seems like an awful lot of clinical hours, and they're not paid, so. Okay, thank you.
Any other board comments? Seeing none, is our representative from Infotech Career College Vocational Nursing Program present? And if you could state your name for us and your professional title?
I'm Amita Garg, Campus Director.
Tina Turpinning, Director of Nursing.
Thank you. And do you agree with the NEC's recommendation, and do you have any updated information for us at this time?
Everything is current, and we agree.
Okay. Thank you. Is there a motion from,
Motion to accept the NEC report and recommendation.
I second.
any public comment at this time? Seeing none, any further discussion from the board? Seeing none. It's been moved and seconded to accept the NEC's report. We're going to go into a roll call vote, starting with Eric,
Yes.
Todd,
Yes.
Andrew,
Yes.
Samantha,
Yes.
myself is a yes, Bernice,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Donna,
Yes.
John.
Yes.
It's unanimous, motion carried, and thank you. And we're going to go on to agenda item 27B5, Intercoast College Vocational Nursing Program. And it was from Margarita Valdez, the NEC. Ms. Valdez, thank you for your report, and we've received it and reviewed it. Do board members have questions for Ms. Valdez at this time?
I have one. Ms. Valdez, I was looking through your report, and it looks like on January 17th, you attempted to make contact with the director, and there was some confusion of who the director was. Have we heard from this school that they intend to close? Or have we just not had any communication from them?
I attempted on the 17th. When I was assigned to the school and knowing that they were going to come up for reconsideration of provisional in February, I had started the review of all the documentation that was in the files. And at that point, because I had questions rather than this, wanted to clarify, I attempted to call the director. So when I called the school, I was informed at that time that she was no longer the director, that she was no longer there. I was then told that if I needed information, it would be a Mr. Peterson. I left my number, I left my information. On the 27th, Mr. Peterson then was corrected to Mr. Preston. He informed me that if I needed information, he could give it to me. I asked how I could contact her. I said, thank you so much, but I need to get clarification. There was no request for admission of students. So at that time, based on the fact that the position was vacant, and no students were present, the report was completed, and it had been completed and stated for reconsideration, and it was the rescind of the provisional status. Later on, there was a call from Ms. Mashad Kelly again, and I know that all the information for the meeting was sent to them. And as of today, Ms. Gross came to me today from Intercoast and is present here. And she had information, and I said, please, my report was here to please present it if they said if there was anybody present from the school at this time. So that's where it stands.
And the school currently has 0 students.
No students, and they have no director.
Thank you.
Madam President. I just need to declare that, as a board member, I was a former employer of Intercoast College approximately 3 years ago, and I have had no contact with the school, and therefore I want clear that I feel comfortable moving forward and making an honest decision in their regard.
Thank you. Any other board comment at this time or discussion? Is there a representative from Intercoast College Vocational Nursing Program present? And if you could please state your name and professional title?
Good afternoon. My name is Betty Gross. I'm the Regional Vice President for Intercoast.
Thank you. And do you have any updated information, and are you in agreement with the NEC's recommendation?
I do have some updated information, and I certainly wanted to say thank you for allowing us to present this information and suggesting that I share what Margarita had mentioned to you. Dr. Carter was our nursing director. She still works on special projects for us. She couldn't be here today. Her mother just recently passed away and was buried yesterday. I just wanted to be sure that the board is aware that Intercoast requested to voluntarily withdraw the vocational nursing program for the Fairfield campus. And Dr. Carter notified our nursing education consultant that we would not be requesting additional students in March of 2016. In September of 2016, we confirmed that the institution made a business decision to completely withdraw this license with the BVNPT. We were surprised that the provisional approval was on the agenda, and respectfully request that the board only address our request to voluntarily withdraw its program approval. Now, since we previously withdrew, the action of revoking would be unnecessary and punitive, and that would not be the purpose for that type of action. The program has already closed voluntarily. We have removed the program from our website, and prospective students are referred to the BVNPT for approved schools that they can attend. In addition, again, thank you very much, Margarita. On behalf of the institution, we appreciate the relationship that we had with the board. Special thanks to Donna Johnson. And I also would like you to know that we continue to offer ongoing Nclex review at no charge to our previous graduates. So respectfully, we are asking for the program as it has been voluntarily withdrawn, and no revoking is necessary.
Thank you. Is there a motion?
I have a question for her. May I ask you a question?
Sure.
Can you tell us when you submitted the request to close your school voluntarily?
The school is not closed, it's the program.
The program, I'm sorry.
Originally in March of 2016, we notified that we would no longer be asking for additional students. And then again in September, we confirmed that the institution would no longer be asking for additional classes.
So a slightly different answer to my question. I was asking, when did you inform the board staff that you wanted to end the program, not just that you didn't want to admit more students? I mean, maybe that's one and the same, but it's slightly different to me.
I understand. In September
Okay.
was the final decision that we made as a business to no longer offer the program or request licensure with the BVMPT.
So my question, I guess, is to staff then. Under what circumstances do we refuse a request to close a program? It seems awkward to do that.
We would not refuse it. The problem is the board has no information in terms of your stating that you wanted to voluntarily close the program. There's no correspondence to the board that says that.
I can appreciate that. I have a letter dated September 2nd from our Board of Nurses, Carla Carter, requesting that we made the decision not to submit for any requests for additional students and notified you of that decision on March 9th.
So that's a little different again.
It's different.
I mean, if I hear you correctly, you understand the distinction I'm making, right?
No.
The difference between admitting another class versus closing the program, it's similar but different. So did that letter state you wanted to close the program?
Yes.
And then how did you send that to the board?
That was sent from Dr. Carter to Donna Johnson via email, I believe. I would have to confirm that, but I have a copy of the letter here.
Yeah, I mean, the email might be helpful, but okay. I would appreciate, I don't know the difference, so I guess I leave it to be educated by the staff of what the implications are between approving this and accepting the letter.
Let me just clarify that.
Yep.
In March, we said that we would not be requesting additional students. In September, we confirmed that we made a decision to withdraw its license with the BVMPT.
So then the next logical thing is to say, do we have any evidence that we received it or acknowledged that we received it? Because, and I understand you think it was emailed, but it would have been good if you had evidence saying, oh, someone on the staff acknowledged receiving it. That's one extra level of evidence that you did in fact send something and we received it, right? Certified mail could have been another one, but right now you're showing me a letter that may or may not have been an attachment to an email. Do you see what I mean?
Sure.
Yeah.
I also have additional emails. Once we found out we were on the agenda and we were perplexed as to why we were on the agenda, we started emailing beginning in February 1st, asking, please confirm that you are aware that we voluntarily withdrew our application for the program and that we didn't understand why we were on the agenda today.
I'm not sure what the practical difference is between the board taking action of this versus your program withdrawing, but I can understand why one has a connotation of better, but as long as we would have a record in the board documentation of what was happening, I don't feel strongly one way or the other, but I'm curious what other board members feel.
Donna?
So I'm assuming that there's a reason that you want to voluntarily close the program as opposed to having your program revoked.
Well, of course, the decision was made several months ago.
Yes.
And so for that reason, the decision is a moot point, right? To revoke it. And we already made that decision to remove it, to withdraw.
So the end result here is that your program is closed.
It
for all
is.
intents and purposes.
Yeah.
And all you're asking the board to do is accept the closure of the program and remove you from our list of approved schools.
Absolutely.
So can I make a motion that we accept the voluntary closure? Cheryl? Can we just accept the voluntary closure or removal of the school?
That appears appropriate. It's the removal from the list that has the same effect, so it appears to me.
That could be done. I do need you to be aware, board members, that there was just cause to revoke in terms of the pass rates. If you look at the pass rates, they're now down to 19%. So that led into the decision to recommend revocation. And Ms. Carter has been to the board a number of times, but to my knowledge, she's not said anything in terms of desiring to close the program. And that doesn't say that you didn't say that, it's just that that information wasn't, we have no record that it was ever communicated to the board.
Okay.
Madam President?
John?
I also want excuse me, I also want to point out the NEC did make multiple efforts to contact the school, left messages, and I understand no calls were returned?
That's correct.
The call I made was the 17th. The 27th, they returned the call, but they could not help me at that time, asked for my information, and said that they would let me know. Then Miss Kelly Michaud, is that correct, Mrs. Gross? Kelly Michaud, very positive, called me, asked me what I need. I said, need to speak to the director. She's not here, but give me your information. I gave her my email information and anything, and I had not received information from her regarding these things, and I spoke to her. That's why I said you present it to the board. Do not give it to me. I have to go by my report. I had not. So, and the reason I had put the rescinding was not only no request, there was no director, and because of the information that I had been able to locate, find, confirm. So that's why I said to her, present it to the board. Please don't present it to me.
Our graduates completed the program in September, and the first initial call was January. So we have not had any students in the campus since September of last year.
But the point I wanted to bring out is that the board did try to contact you, and that the school made no effort to contact the board.
I believe Mr. Preston did return your call?
Right, but at that time, again, he contacted me, but could give me no information, and there was no director.
So
So
again,
that's what I put.
yeah, and so again, if there was communication, there was no communication on this topic. He couldn't share with you any information, so
No.
you had to go with the information that we already had.
At that time, he did not give me any information as to voluntary, and that's what I told Ms. Gross. I had no information, had not been able to locate, and he did not give me any information as to the school wanting to voluntarily.
What was the date? What was the date you said?
The 27th,
Of what, month and year,
January.
please? Okay.
Actually, the 17th, because I had gotten that, had done the research and wanted to confirm. And that's when that communication, and that's why I guided her to bring it to you.
One other thing, board members, when we received an email, actually that went to, not to Ms. Valdez, but to our Associate Government Program Analyst, saying that she understood he was the nursing education consultant, which is obviously incorrect. But that was the first information that said that the school had intended to close, and that was February 1st. At that point, when that occurred, I had disseminated the reports to the programs, as is our normal process, and the reports had already been published. So at that point, Ms. Valdez is correct. There was no opportunity to change the report or the recommendations.
Please understand that in September, we had voluntarily withdrawn the application. So when we found out that we were on the agenda, it was quite a surprise, and that's why you started receiving emails in February.
Madam President, just
In a second.
I want to make sure we're understanding. When one says there is an intent not to accept new applicants or to start a new class, that does not necessarily translate to we are voluntarily closing our program. And if we understood correctly, you did send to the board initially a non-intent to start a new class. Am I with you so far?
No, it's a little different than that, which, just for clarity purposes.
Okay.
So in March of 2016, we notified the board that we would not be requesting additional students. That's the first part of it. In September of 2016, we confirmed that the institution made a business decision to voluntarily withdraw its license with the BVNPT. So we made 2 attempts.
And that is the letter you're referring to that was an email attachment?
Well, I have a copy of it here. I don't know if it was an email or mailed. I can't confirm that, but I do have that.
So evidently there was someone else given the responsibility to get the document to the board.
That is the nursing director, Dr. Carter, and that was addressed to Donna Johnson.
And at this time, it appears we don't have that document.
That's correct.
So something happened between your directive and the receipt or the non-receipt of the information. At this point, if I'm understanding correctly from our educational staff, educational consultant, without that, the only recommendation that could be made was with the evidence available on file with the board at the time the reports had to be submitted for public review. Given that circumstance, if you weren't here today, we wouldn't even know that you'd given that directive.
Right. And that's when we found out just this past week that we were on the agenda, and that's why I'm here perplexed as well. Why are we on the agenda? We had already voluntarily withdrawn our application.
I'm not necessarily perplexed, but
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but I want to ask our staff, how can we best help so we can close or bring this to a closure?
I believe there's a motion in a second.
We have a motion already on the floor.
I just have a legal question here, because assuming a school requests voluntary withdrawal of approval, it would still come forth to us on an agenda, so I don't understand.
Your regulation 2526.1H talks about removing a program from provisional approval, a program on provisional approval from the list of approved programs, and then they would have to have a minimum 1 year to reapply. So that's the provision that matters in terms of the board's action, whether it's, I'm not seeing a distinction as to whether it's voluntary or a revocation from the board side.
Any other discussion from the board? Any public comment? Seeing none, it's been moved and seconded to accept the withdrawal from the list and the closure of the program by Donna and seconded by Eric. So we'll do a roll call vote.
And just to clarify, the motion, I think, also included the removal from the list of approved schools.
Oh, and so it's to accept withdrawal from the list and close the program and removal from the approved vocational nursing. Accept the closure of the program and withdrawal from the approved vocational nursing program list.
Just one final legal clarifying question. Would the substance of this motion be different from what appears on our agenda today?
You've got reconsideration of provisional approval. You are reconsidering that provisional approval. So I would argue you're covered. Thank you.
Any other discussion by board? So we'll take a roll call vote, starting with Eric on my right.
Yes.
Todd?
Yes.
Andrew?
Yes.
Samantha?
Yes.
Myself is a yes. Bernice?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Donna?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
So motion carried. That was unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you.
So we're going to go on to agenda item 27B6, Palo Verde College Vocational Nursing Program. And it was Beth DeYoung's the NEC. Ms. DeYoung, thank you for your report. We've received and reviewed it. Board members have any questions for Ms. DeYoung at this time? Seeing none, is there a representative from Palo Verde College Vocational Nursing Program? And then when you come up to the podium, if you could state your name and professional title for us, please.
Good afternoon. I'm Dr. Virginia Armstrong. I am the program director for the vocational nursing program at Palo Verde College. With me today is Dr. Hancock, who is the vice president of instructional services for the college, and as well as a faculty member, Mr. Jeff Bellington. We agree with the recommendation and have very recently provided an update to Ms. DeYoung about how we are going to track adherence, the faculty adherence to the instructional plan.
Thank you. Does NEC have anything to add to that, Ms. DeYoung?
Would you, Dr. Hancock?
I just wanted to say, first of all, that the administration and our Board of Trustees is committed to working with our nursing educational consultants and the board to ensure quality program for our students. And we're thankful for the recognition of the progress that's been made in addressing the violations. And we look forward to full remedy in the next cycle. Thank you very much for your consideration.
Dr. Armstrong or Dr. Hancock, could one of you address the issue of faculty compliance with the test plan and then the evaluation of faculty? Because as I understand, that was a point of concern and disagreement that I guess there was some concern that the director did not have the authority to evaluate faculty, and faculty were presenting information that was inconsistent with the test plan,
That's right.
or with your instructional plan.
That's right. The outstanding violation we have has to do with the ability to supervise and direct my faculty to adhere to the instructional plan. So it did come to my attention as we have implemented the new curriculum. And in a review, it was evident that the faculty person was not adhering to the new instructional plan. And so it raised the issue. So the plan that we have recently submitted will directly address and be able allow us to monitor faculty for adherence to the plan. The larger issue of my ability to immediately evaluate every course or every semester is an outstanding issue. And so I do have Dr. Hancock here to address it because the faculty does not report to me. And so that there are some confounding factors having to do with union and tenure that are above my explanation or any information that I can provide. So I do have Dr. Hancock here to address those issues.
So who is administratively responsible for the program as it stands?
I am.
But you're not able to evaluate the faculty or have them respond to you, is that correct?
Informally respond to me, but a formal evaluation that might result in some type of disciplinary action, no. It's my understanding I do not have that control.
Okay.
Dr. Hancock may want to explain.
There's been, I think, some confusion as to the definition of the evaluation of performance versus ongoing evaluation of program compliance with the instructional plans and the daily lesson plans. Just recently, Dr. Armstrong did evaluate. It is either myself or a designee that can do the administrative evaluation of faculty. Under our ed code and our collective bargaining agreements, all faculty are evaluated on a 3-year cycle. And the plan that we just recently submitted is hopefully one in which every 6 weeks, the program director would go in every 6 weeks and evaluate whether or not they're following the plan and have a dialogue with that faculty member to ensure that they're following those plans, and if not, why, and what the plan is to get on track. So we're hopeful that that will help contribute to the overall administrative evaluation, which the dean can evaluate as my designee in that respect, and then whether or not they're following the college state policies would be reflected in that overall evaluation, and then there could be remedy at that point. Does that answer the question? And with some further clarification and working with either the consultants or the board on the expectations of frequency and things of that nature that have to be bargained, we're certainly open and receptive to that. Like I said, we are committed to resolving any issues to ensure that this program is important to the community, to the college, and everyone involved. So we want to do whatever it takes to ensure the board that we're maintaining the quality and integrity of this program. So, but that is one of the areas in which some clarification may be necessary as to the expectations.
So with whatever steps you have taken at this point, would the director, Dr. Armstrong, then have the authority to evaluate not only the faculty, but ensure that they are providing instruction that's consistent with the approved plan of instruction?
That is the plan that we submitted, is to.
That's right. It specifically addresses that particular issue because that is what arose as an example of the ability to administer the program. The overall evaluation of the faculty in terms of teaching methodology, effectiveness, that type of thing, has not been resolved.
Bernice?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I thought I was following you. California Community College System, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so we always, CSU here, we always are concerned about the faculty unit and CFA, I believe.
CTA.
CTA. Mhm. Given you have a recognized, accredited, approved program, I want to make sure, would you walk us through kind of step by step exactly how much authority you'll be given to work with unit members about their teaching?
Well, how much I will be and what's in the plan, I'll defer to Dr. Hancock about what my scope will be going forward.
It would be her responsibility to carry out that every 6-week assessment to review whether or not the instructional plan and the daily lesson plans are being followed. Within that plan, there's consultation afterwards with the instructor and where they both sign off in the comment section. And those, whether or not they're following those things, would then, of course, be used further on down the line during an overall evaluation of the instructor's performance. That would roll into that if they weren't following policies and procedures and state requirements.
So we're talking tenure, promotion, retention? You're talking retention of faculty and they're right by the unit?
Right, to follow the contractual obligations, yes.
The concern here would be, and that's why I'm just trying to get a handle on, let me say this, where does the buck stop? If by chance there is a faculty member giving inaccurate information about meds, and they've been reviewed and written up, and then action will be taken later, the potential would be there might be students who leave with inaccurate, wrong information about meds, and would be 1 to 3 years, depending on how you have that set. So where is the authority when it is so pertinent that action be taken? And we really do appreciate our need to figure out how to balance between our unit members, their contract, but we also are concerned, this board, about the safety of the public.
Right.
And the students could leave that class, go out, take their exam, and be administering to any of us without the accurate information.
I would hope that through this process, if we determine that it's effective, that by this regular 6-week review, we identify those gaps. We do have right of assignment. And by that, I mean, if we see that a particular instructor is not working out particularly well in that subject matter, they wouldn't be assigned to teach that subject matter in the future. So it would be a much more immediate type of response and not wait for an evaluation down the road. And then we could, of course, look and see what we need to do to remediate that instructor. But there is that opportunity. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, if I understand correctly, that means at the end of that instructional assignment, so they would finish that class and not be assigned to teach it again potentially,
Yes.
subject to their bargaining unit, which they can grieve.
Yes.
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 Correct.
But I would hope that this plan would allow us to be much more timely and responsive to any of those identified gaps. You
Is
know,
there a, just a curiosity, is there a faculty curriculum committee in support or directly related to this program? Faculty have made a commitment to ensure that the institution maintains its recognized program in good standing?
Well, we have two faculty persons, so we're all working together and getting the same information and theoretically being supportive of each other for this to happen, to ensure that the instructional plan is adhered to.
Would that include all adjuncts who might support that program?
Yes, it does.
Thank you.
John?
Ma'am, in one of the violations, it said the program failed to evaluate students as they progress through the program.
Yes.
So you potentially had students that were failing go through your whole semester and then progress on, is that correct?
That's correct. And that was one of the initial violations that brought us to the provisional status, and that is a violation that has since been corrected, and that the violation number 5 with the program administration of faculty is outstanding.
I've read your correction. Is that including both clinical and academic evaluation?
Yes, it is.
Is one dependent on the other where they can pass theory and fail clinical and thus fail the class?
Yes, that is possible. The clinical is a pass-fail, so it would require very specific documentation, but yes, it is possible.
Okay. And the students are being aware at this point now that they may get straight A's in theory, but if they fail clinical, are they notified, placed on probation, corrective action, et cetera, et cetera?
Every week, the student does a self-evaluation, as well as the instructor also has to report on the progress or lack thereof for clinical performance for the student. At that time that it is identified, they're immediately placed on a remediation status, and a remediation plan individualized to their deficit is implemented and then tracked by the instructor on a weekly basis. Remediation is likely to be skills lab, occur in the skills lab because it's a clinical course.
I understand. One of the concerns we have is that your community college, if you were a private school, a private for-profit school,
Yes.
concern would be is like keeping the student on to keep them paying tuition and then cutting them loose after you've gotten all their money. And of course, that's not the type of educational institution the board takes a very dim view of. But we understand, as a community college, we also understand your pass rates and everything else are still the same. But my concern was reading this early on, which is why you're on probation, is that students need to know where they're at in the course of the program and to know where they need to make corrections. The
Yes.
board, one of my goals as the educators, we have students that graduate from our schools that are safe, professional, and competent. And we need to make sure the schools are on board doing their portion of it. And I'm glad that's being corrected. I hope that it will continue to keep the students and the faculty held accountable to meet those 3 objectives of safe, professional, and competent. So I'm heartened that this has been implemented. I just hope that it continues to go.
Well, so do I. We intend to.
Thank you.
I just have one question for clarification. Today, as we speak, who is it that's actually evaluating the faculty? Is it the dean of the college?
Currently, the dean.
Well, not me.
Well,
My dean.
we have a dean, and then did you not perform
The
the
process.
administrative evaluation for the?
Yes, which was more like a summary.
Yeah.
of
The
events.
administrative evaluation portion was done by your associate dean, of nursing and allied health for our nursing instructor, the most recent evaluation that was conducted. I also have a dean of instruction and student services that conducts evaluations, but you're talking about this specific evaluation for the nursing department. Currently, nursing dean would complete the administrative portion, in addition to the peer review and all of the other components of a faculty evaluation. The plan that we submitted that has the every 6 weeks portion would be conducted by the Associate Dean of Nursing and Allied Health, which is Dr. Armstrong.
Okay, and that's the plan going forward?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Any other discussion by the board?
Sir, when does that plan, is that in effect now?
No, we just submitted that. We met with representatives, talked about the every 6 week coming in and doing that assessment. And we plan on starting that. We're off for the summer. We plan on starting that and having information and data available to the board for part of the November report that's required. So we would implement that in August.
Right, with the new start.
Okay, but by representatives, are you talking about bargaining unit representatives or
Spoke with
faculty representatives?
Faculty, the division chair over the division that under which nursing is a nursing faculty member. He's the division chair and he's also the CTA president. And so we sat down with this person to see if he felt there were any implications to this, and we felt that this was a good way to move forward to ensure that faculty are following these plans. And so getting the green light with that, we then submitted it just recently to the board and are looking to implement that first thing in the next semester.
Do we need a motion?
We need a motion.
Motion to accept the NEC recommendation and motion to approve the NEC recommendation.
I'll second.
So we have a motion and a second. Any public comment? Seeing none. Any further discussion by board members? So we have a motion and a second. It's been moved to accept the NEC's recommendation. So we're going to do a roll call vote. Eric?
Yes.
Todd?
Yes.
Andrew?
Yes.
Samantha?
Yes.
Myself is a yes. Bernice?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Donna?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Motion carried, and thank you.
Okay, thank you.
So now we're going to go to agenda item 27B7, St. Joseph College of Nursing Program. And Faye Silverman was the NEC on that. Ms. Silverman, thank you for your report. We've received it and reviewed it. Do board members have any questions for Ms. Silverman at this time? Seeing none, is there a representative from St. Joseph's College of Vocational Nursing Program present? And then when you come up, if you could state your name and your professional title, please.
Good afternoon. Nikki Joseph, Director of Nursing.
And do you agree with the NEC's recommendation and/or have any updated information?
I agree with the NEC's recommendation, and the report is complete.
Okay, any motion or questions?
So part of the report states that your school changed your curriculum, unapproved. Let me finish the question first, though. And then further analysis said that the curriculum lacked critical content and instructional elements. So have those been fixed?
Yes, and it was this, the curriculum was revised, and the NEC wants to review it, and so we could come forward in the May board meeting.
So has the NEC reviewed the current curriculum?
No.
The adjustment?
At this time, no. What happened was that there was pieces missing from the instructional plan that were added after the school was put on provisional status, and it was never gone through the process to be looked at by an NEC. So I currently am in possession of the revised IP or instructional plan. I have not had the opportunity to review it at this point. My recommendation was to continue the provisional status for 3 more months to allow me and the school's representatives to perfect the instructional plan and then come back at the next board meeting to see if we can possibly go forward at that point.
Thank you.
John?
Ma'am, one of the reports in the NEC, section of the NEC reports is pediatric and OB objectives and theory and clinical. Have you been able to find a clinical site to conduct sick child care?
Oh, yes. A lot of we had a previous nurse consultant, and we resolved everything on the violation, including getting the pass rates up more than 6 quarters in a row. And then the last quarter, we received 100% and 86%. So we were hopeful that we would be removed off the provisional list. However, with the new consultant, we wanted to perfect our revision of the instructional plan, which was part of our evaluation. We do have pediatric, we do have OBGYN site that was verified by the previous consultant as well.
I understand that was part of my next question, is that you're requesting to be taken off probation, but you have a large amount of information to explain, which you, of course, you're doing. But the key thing I have is you started to change curriculum without approval. And we need to know all aspects of your program, and to implement without review or approval is rather serious. And so I think that to request or even be considered removal of probation after implementing changes to curriculum is more like 2 steps back than 3 steps forward. That there are rules that are laid down in the Nurse Practice Act on what you're supposed to be doing, and you didn't do it, and you got caught. And therefore, I wouldn't be so eager to come off probation at this point until I made sure all the ducks are in order. I mean, you changed from a HESI plan to SLE entrance exam, not having the appropriate theory hours and clinical, and in theory and content outline. That's a major faux pas on the school's part. And in order to come off probation, we need to make sure the school is meeting all the criteria. And even though you made corrections, I want to see that they are followed through. So before you start thinking about coming off probation, I would make sure all my ducks are in order before making that type of request.
That's why we're agreeing with the NEC's recommendation. I believe we're making progress in the right direction and working. We've worked very diligently to improve the quality and also make sure we're working to revise all the violations. I don't disagree with the NEC's recommendation. It is a step in the right direction.
I would agree and applaud that aspect. Thank you.
Any further comment from the board? I would entertain a motion.
Motion to accept the NEC recommendation.
I'll second.
So there's a motion and a second. Is there any public comment? Seeing none, any further discussion from the board? Seeing none, so it's been moved and seconded to accept the NEC's recommendation. And we'll do a roll call vote, starting with Eric.
Yes.
Todd?
Yes.
Andrew?
Yes.
Samantha?
Yes.
Myself is a yes. Bernice?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Donna?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Motion carried, and thank you.
Thank you so much.
Unanimous. So now we're moving on to agenda item 27C1, and that would be Career Institute Ventura Vocational Nursing Program. Thank you, Ms. Faye Silverman was the NEC on that. Thank you, Ms. Silverman. We've received the report and reviewed it. Currently, do board members have any questions for Ms. Silverman at this time? Is there a representative from Career Care Institute Ventura Vocational Nursing Program present? If you could state your name and your title.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Ms. Silverman. Thank you, Board. My name is Linda Malik Jones, Director of Nursing for Ventura Campus and also Lancaster Campus.
And are you in agreement with the NEC's recommendation?
Yes, we are in agreement. The only update I have is just earlier this week, I have 2 pending contracts for pediatric sick child placements, so we're working on it vigorously.
Thank you. John?
I have a question. Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, I understand that you used, according to one of the violations we have in the report, is you used a teacher's aide or assistant as a clinical instructor. How did that occur?
I've been there for 3 weeks now as the DON. So prior to my being there, there's been a fluctuation of leadership, and I believe that that's the rationale that certain things were conducted that were in violation.
So you're doing your best.
I'm fully aware of the role of the teacher assistant.
I just want to be sure, because teacher's assistant, believe me, they come in handy, especially when you're in clinical in a big facility and you want to keep track of them. But I'm glad, just remind you that teacher's assistant is exactly that, to assist the instructor. You still have to meet the basic minimum of, in this case, 15-1 according to the Nurse Practice Act, and some schools according to probation are 10-1.
Right.
But never ever should a teacher assistant be used in lieu of clinical. And I just want to make sure that the students need to have that guided clinical experience with the instructor, and the aide is exactly that, an aide to do that, but they bear none of the responsibility for the safety and the care given by the students. So I'm glad you're aware of it. 3 weeks on the job and you're here in front of us takes a lot of gumption.
On the hot seat. Okay,
But
thank you.
we're aware of all this, and we really hope that you're able to turn the program not only around, but get them moving in the right direction.
That is the plan. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you for coming here.
Samantha?
Good afternoon. So I hear that you've been there 3 weeks. I also see in the recommendation that there's a major and substantial report due April 1st, 2017. That's about 6 weeks away. Are you prepared to meet that deadline?
I will make every intention to do so. The Lancaster campus is in good hands. I have a solid faculty there, an excellent assistant director of nursing. So I think I will be able to move forward and get the help I need.
Yeah, that's really important because you're already on provisional, and this is a major recommendation. So it would reflect very negatively if this deadline is not met.
Understood.
Any other questions? John?
Motion to accept the NEC recommendations as presented.
I'll second.
There's a motion and a second. Any public comment at this time? Seeing none, further discussion by board members? Seeing none, it's been moved and seconded to accept the NEC's recommendations. So we're going to do a roll call vote, starting with Eric.
Yes.
Todd?
Yes.
Andrew?
Yes.
Samantha? Myself is a yes. Bernice?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Donna?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
So the motion carries. It's unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you. And that brings us to agenda item 27C2, Carrington College San Jose Vocational Nursing Program. And Jessica Gomez was the NEC. Ms. Gomez, thank you for your report. We've received it and reviewed it.
I do have one correction.
Okay. Okay.
And that's on page 3, on the very bottom paragraph, it says for a maximum number of 66 students, that should say 7, not 4. And this does not change the recommendation because they still have that.
Okay. Do board members have any questions for Ms. Gomez at this time? Seeing none, is there a representative from Carrington College San Jose Vocational Nursing Program present? And when you come up, if you could state your name and title?
Good afternoon, board members and consultants. My name is Janice Montgomery. I'm the VN Program Director.
Thank you. And are you in agreement with the NEC's recommendation?
Yes.
And do you have any updated information for us?
I am in agreement with the NEC recommendation, and the report is complete.
Thank you. John?
Thank you. What are you doing to correct your maternity and pediatric clinical sites?
We have already instituted a plan. I believe the violation for maternity and pediatric clinical sites occurred before I was employed there, and it has since been corrected. All of the graduates, I believe that was from the August 2015 class, were called back in and completed OB clinical rotation hours, and we have sufficient sites now for OB and pediatric clinical rotations.
Are they in, now these are sick, did you also include OBPs, but sick child?
We have sick child as well, yes.
Okay, because there is a difference between growth and development
Yes.
sites and sick kid sites, but sometimes there may be sick kids at growth and development sites, but we just need to make sure that division between the two, because some schools seem to think growth and development sites like a daycare site are appropriate for a sick child site, but I don't think colds and flu count. So
No.
I just want to make sure about that aspect of it. Have you also worked on your theory or coordination between your theory instructors and your clinical instructors to make sure that whatever's presented in theory, then they go to clinical, not the other way around?
Yes, that has also been corrected. The communication amongst theory and clinical staff has greatly increased. They are encouraged to discuss student status in the course, share course content, so the clinical instructors can also reinforce that theory information at the site. So it is much better coordinated at this time.
How often is this done at faculty meetings or emails?
At faculty meetings and through email and telephone communication at the start of every course. The theory and clinical instructors meet before the class starts, and they review the syllabus for the theory portion of the course, so the clinical instructor will be able to follow along throughout the term.
Do they continue the communication as the course progresses?
Yes, as the course progresses, theory and clinical instructors do communicate with each other to explore any weak areas that the students may have. In case something had to change in the theory portion of the course, they communicate that with the clinical instructor, and it's all communicated with everyone at monthly staff meetings.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions from board members to the school? John?
Motion to accept the NEC recommendation as presented.
I'll second.
There's a motion and a second. Any public comment? Seeing none, further discussion from board members? Seeing none, it's been moved and seconded to accept the NEC's recommendation. We'll do a roll call, starting with Eric.
Yes.
Todd?
Yes.
Andrew? Yes. Samantha? Yes. Myself is a yes. Bernice?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Donna?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
That's unanimous. Motion carried. Thank you. So we're going to move on to agenda item 27C3, Homestead Schools Incorporated Vocational Nursing Program. And Margarita Valdez, thank you for your report. We've received it and reviewed it.
I have a correction on page 1.
Okay.
Typo. Number
Okay.
3, the one full-time evening class is 24 students also, to start May 8th, 2017, not March 8th. But that does not change my recommendations.
So that would be the one full-time evening class?
Correct.
Okay. Does the board members have any questions for Ms. Valdez? Seeing none, John?
Yeah, I'm sorry, man. Ms. Valdez, given the number of students and the classes that you're recommending, the facility, I see in your report that the facility has the clinical sites and the faculty to carry that many students?
Yes.
Are some of the faculty working double shifts, or?
No, they have 29. They have full-time, they have part-times that teach both theory and clinical. And in addition to the facilities, because at first that was one of the issues and concerns, besides the correlation of theory and everything, that's why the review of the curriculum. I did approve additional pediatrics and OB facilities. I also confirmed and requested, since I got this school in December, I asked for updated clinical faculty student ratio assignments to be handed in. Also, updated faculty lists, also enrollment of the candidates to ensure that they were there and that they correlated with the clinical capabilities. So at this time, that has been confirmed. The director was very diligent in submitting all the documents that were requested prior to these recommendations. And it is a total of 153 students. They have 29 faculty. The director is full-time administrative. And so at this time, but of course, the recommendation is that they also stay on provisional until 2018 and follow up with them to ensure that it meets all the regulations.
The reason I'm checking is that a lot of times facilities, even though the regulations say 15, the facilities may actually lower that number to 10 or less. And with the number of students, that's going to increase the number of facilities. For example, with one full-time day of 24, cohort 61, they essentially may need 3 clinical sites instead of 2.
And that's where the additional approvals for these additional facilities that they had. But that's why I recommend we continue to monitor to make
Okay.
sure and that they stay on provision.
Yeah, when I
To
just saw,
ensure.
okay, because when I saw the student numbers, I'm going,
Yes.
whoa, lots of students. And this is like they may be using the same facilities on day shift, and then they're ending up having their students report on to the students coming on PM shift, which would be kind of interesting.
That was a concern.
And so I'm just worried about the facility burnout and everything else. So if you've addressed it, and I see you've sent in here, but I didn't see that actual aspect to make sure the facilities can handle the student load, unless they have set facilities for day shift, set facilities for PM
Yes,
shift.
they have different facilities, and that's why I requested an updated faculty-student clinical sheet that showed me the students where they were. Also, you want to see that the instructors are not the same ones going here, there, and everywhere, or being duplicated in at the same time in 2 different facilities.
One last question. On the faculty that's teaching on the PM shift, I don't know if they're seasoned or not, or new, but do they have a point of contact that should they encounter a problem at, say, 9 o'clock at night, 10 o'clock at night, do they have access to their director for, should anything occur, do they have a way to communicate with the director to ask for guidance or to get clearance or notification or communication?
As I understood it, the director is available to them on an ongoing basis, but That's a good question. I apologize that I did not follow further on that, but that might be something you might address if there is a representative here.
Thank you. It's just, I have worked those shifts. Those things have occurred personally. And so it's always nice to let leadership know that we've encountered a problem, especially if it's a major issue. But
that
I will
is-
address it to the
But that is
school.
something that I will keep in mind. Thank you when I
No,
do
not,
that.
yeah, personal experience pays off a bit. Thank you.
Any other questions from board members to the NEC? Seeing none, is there a representative from Homestead School Incorporated Vocational Nursing Program here today? And then if you could state your name and your title?
Good afternoon. My name is Adele Blanco. I'm the program director for Homestead Schools Incorporated, Torrance. I agree with the recommendation of the NSC, and I also would like to express our thanks to Cheryl Anderson for her guidance and support for this major curriculum revision, and to Ms. Valdez, whose vast knowledge of being a school director before and regulations of BB and PT, our heartfelt thanks to you and your support and guidance. I also would like, I know they're not here, I'm by myself, to thank the Chief Academic Officer that came with me and met with Cheryl Anderson, and thanks to my faculty and staff who tirelessly helped with the curriculum revision. I could not have done that by myself. And now the implementation starts. It's going to be very, very, very hard work, but I will personally supervise that in implementation. And in answer to your question, can I answer his question now? Can I?
Yes.
After this class break. Ma'am, you've been hearing the discussion of the question I asked?
Yes.
I've taught on the PM shift, and we've had issues where I've had to contact my program director because of an issue. Have you made provisions on some way that if something should occur on a PM shift, you want to know about it right away, obviously. Has there been provision made to how faculty or students can contact the school leadership or the program leadership in the event of something occurring on their shift?
Yes, there is. Before I go off duty, sometimes at like 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock, I check with the instructors and the students if they have some questions, and I give them my cell phone number where they can contact me when they have some questions. And I also regularly make a site visits and announce site visits and talk with the students, any questions, anything that I can do at that time.
And what happens if you're not available for whatever reason? You could be at a movie. I got contacted while I was at a live play. How have, if you're not available, do they have a backup number or a number two that they can call for guidance?
Yes, I have a program coordinator that also be able to be called, and also the chief academic officer. He works very closely with me, so there are two people other than myself, but I don't go to the movies very often. Because of this, it's so hard to implement the program, so that is out of my social calendar. I'm sorry.
No, it's all right. It's kind of embarrassing when you're in a live play and your phone goes off. And it's kind of like, okay, why are you calling me? There's somebody else on call. And that's actually happened where the faculty tried to get a hold of the director, the assistant director, and I happened to be the only other person they had the number on. But given the number of students that we're considering, given that you've had some issues in the past, I like to see, I guess for want of a better example, belt and suspenders on your program so that you have more than one way to hold up your pants. because nobody wants to get caught with their pants down. And I want you to be safe, and I want to make sure that those lines of communication are clear, that they're available, that the support is there for your faculty and your students.
Yes.
Because I'm not sure if you have a preceptorship or something, but they need to know who to call if something goes on. And with this many classes and this many students, I have concerns. I'm feeling more comfortable. Our NEC did a great job preparing the report, but there are some things that you can't think of unless you've been there and done that. And I've been a nurse educator long enough to know that there are times when belt and suspenders don't work, and so you're running around with one hand on your pants and the other one waving down that red flag. So forgive me for asking these types of questions, but for the safety of the students and your program, I just want to make sure those lines of communication are well established, that they're clear, and more importantly, they're maintained.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much for your feedback. I just want to clarify, as Ms. Valdez was saying, that I have that number of students, but by June 9th, I would have only less students because all the other students, the cohort 55 would have already been graduating, cohort 58, so with cohort 59, the only thing left would be the class 60, which is that who they're not graduating until the July 2018, plus the current one that you're approving. So it's less number of
Very-
students.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Samantha?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I'm looking through the packet, and it looks like your school has really done some hard work.
Yes.
And I know you've been with us before, and I'm looking at your program average annual pass rate, and it's been in the 80s for the past 3 quarters, 81, 88,
Yes.
81.
Yes.
You had a curriculum overhaul?
Yes,
And-
major.
Major. And now the NEC is recommending to give you some more classes, give you some more students.
Yes.
So you've done a lot of hard work, and you're kind of at the start gate. Are you ready? Do you feel ready for the race to begin, I guess is what I'm
Yes.
saying.
I'm very ready.
And I just wanted to acknowledge that it looks like you have done some really hard work, and I wish you well.
Thank you so much. And as you can see in your report, out of 14 quarters, 12 are within the 10 percentage point. And again, thank you so much for pointing that out. I want to congratulate you for a job well done. So with your vice president, you helped me a lot by just looking at you guys. I'm less scared. To me, I always say, oh, now me again. They're sick and tired of looking at my face. And congratulations for the new leadership. And I'm going to work so hard to maintain that. Yes,
John?
Mr. Bertito.
You'll like this one. Madam President, I move that we approve the NEC recommendation as presented.
I'll second.
So it's been moved in second. Any public comment? Seeing none. Further discussion from board members? Seeing none. So it's been moved and seconded to accept the NEC's recommendation. We'll do a roll call vote. Eric?
Yes.
Todd?
Yes.
Andrew?
Yes.
Samantha?
Yes.
Myself is yes. Bernice?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Donna?
Yes?
John?
Yes.
So motion carried. That was unanimous.
Thank you.
Good luck.
And then
Break.
we'll take a quick 5-minute break. I need to go to the roof.